Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're going to be talking about change and new seasons in life.
I like that.
Yeah.
New seasons in life.
And to help us kind of unpack all this, we have an article by Frederick Osei-Manu.
Okay.
He has some really interesting points in here.
Right.
Like the idea that time is a servant, not a dictator, and that we can actually speak to time.
That's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about it, we do have so much power over how we experience time.
Totally.
And, change is one of those things that everybody faces, but our mindset toward it can make all the difference.
And that's actually one of the first things that he talks about in this article is accepting that new season.
Right.
Letting go of what was and not dwelling on the past.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, when you're at a party and it's just not doing it for you anymore.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to stay just because you were having a good time at the beginning.
Right.
There's a whole world of exciting experiences out there.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
And accepting a new season doesn't mean forcing yourself to the change right away.
Right.
It's more about acknowledging where you are and realizing that acceptance is actually a doorway to new possibilities.
That's such a good point.
Have you ever had a change that you resisted at first?
Oh, all the time.
But then it led to something amazing.
All the time. I mean, think about it. I'm sure our listeners can relate to that as well.
For sure.
I mean, it's such a common human experience.
Yeah.
To resist change and to be afraid of the unknown.
Totally.
But so often those changes that we fear the most end up bringing the greatest gifts.
For sure.
And the greatest opportunities for growth.
And, it's not just about mentally accepting the change.
Right.
But this article also talks about the importance of self-care.
Oh, absolutely.
When during transitions.
Yeah.
And Manu mentions just simple things like speaking kindly to yourself and going for walks, things that can really ground you.
He's right on the money there. Yeah. I mean, self-care is really about building resilience, isn't it?
Yes.
Especially when things feel shaky.
Totally.
When we go through changes, it's easy to forget to take care of ourselves.
Yes.
Our basic needs are mental and emotional well-being.
Mm-hmm.
But self-care is what gives us the fuel to actually adapt and even thrive in the new.
So important.
What are some things that help you recharge and stay grounded when you're facing a big shift?
Ooh. I'm a big fan of getting outside, being in nature and moving my body. That always
I hear you.
Does wonders for me.
Yeah.
There's just something about nature that helps me sort things out in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also a big fan of journaling.
Oh, nice.
Just to clear the mental clutter.
Yeah.
What about you? What are some of your go-to self-care practices?
I find meditation to be incredibly helpful, especially for managing those inevitable anxieties that come with change.
Yes.
It helps me just create a sense of calm and clarity amidst the chaos.
I can see how that would be really valuable.
A game changer for sure.
So we've got acceptance, we've got self-care, but the article goes a step further and dives into the power of positivity.
I love that.
And there's this great line in the article. It says, "You were made for such a time as this."
That's powerful.
Doesn't that just resonate with you?
It really does.
Yeah.
It speaks to that sense of purpose that we all crave. That feeling that we're here for a reason, and that even amidst the challenges and the changes, there's something greater unfolding.
Yes.
But I think it's important to distinguish between genuine optimism and what's often called toxic positivity.
Okay.
Forcing yourself to be happy all the time.
Right.
Especially when you're facing legitimate challenges.
Yes.
That's not healthy.
Right.
But authentic positivity, the kind that fuels problem solving and growth, that comes from a genuine belief in your ability to navigate the challenges.
I like that.
It's about taking that negative self-talk and reframing it into a more empowering internal dialogue.
So it's less about denying the difficulty and more about approaching it with a can-do spirit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Imagine you're facing a problem at work.
Okay.
Instead of thinking, I'm going to mess this up,
right?
You could reframe it as, this is a chance for me to learn and show what I can do.
Yeah.
It's a subtle but powerful shift.
It is.
In perspective.
And you know what else struck me in this article?
What's that?
Was this idea that we can actually change with the times instead of constantly battling against them.
Yeah.
He calls this speaking to time.
Oh, I like that.
It's like time is this entity that we can have a dialogue with.
It's a powerful concept.
It is.
And it requires us to really shift our perspective.
Totally.
Think about how we adapt to technology, for example.
Okay.
Remember when smartphones first came out?
Oh, yeah.
Learning a new interface, figuring out all the apps, it could feel overwhelming.
Yeah.
But now, for most of us, it's second nature. It's that shift from, I can't do this, to, hey, this is actually pretty useful.
Right.
That embodies what speaking to time is all about.
It's like that saying, what you resist persists.
Yes.
The more we fight against something, the harder it becomes.
Absolutely.
I know I've been guilty of that, for sure.
Me too.
So think about an area in your life where maybe you've been resisting change.
Mm-hmm.
What might happen if you approach that situation with a different mindset?
Yeah.
What could you gain by embracing the change instead of fighting it?
That's a great question for our listeners to ponder.
Yeah.
I'll give them a moment to think about that.
Yeah.
It's really amazing how our perspective can change when we just kind of open ourselves up to those new possibilities.
Yeah.
Like, for the longest time, I resisted online grocery shopping.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I really enjoy going to the store, browsing the aisles, picking out my produce, you know?
Yeah, I totally get that there's something satisfying about like the physical experience
Right.
of grocery shopping.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, during a particularly busy period, I had to try it out of necessity.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I was pleasantly surprised.
Oh, wow.
It saved me so much time.
Right.
And I was actually able to plan my meals better
Yeah,
because I could see my whole grocery list right there in front of me,
that makes sense.
Yeah. So sometimes the things that we resist the most end up actually simplifying and improving our lives.
It's so true.
Decent.
Yeah, and this whole idea of planning for a new season,
Yeah.
it's beautifully captured in the article's open check metaphor.
I love that.
Yeah, it's like each day is a blank check and we get to decide how we want to spend it.
I love that metaphor. And what I find really fascinating about it is the balance it strikes between structure and flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
On the one hand, we need plans and goals
Yeah,
to give us direction.
right.
But on the other hand, we also need to be adaptable when circumstances change.
Right.
It's kind of like having a roadmap for a road trip.
Yeah.
Right. You have your destination in mind,
Yeah.
but you're also open to taking detours if you discover something interesting along the way.
It's like having a plan A, but also having a plan B, C, and D up your sleeve.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Just in case.
So are you more of a detailed planner or are you more go with the flow?
I think I'm somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like to have an outline,
Right.
but also leave room for those, unexpected opportunities that come up.
Yeah. And speaking of opportunities, this article also introduces this really intriguing concept of growing edges.
Yes. Growing edges. This is so important.
It is.
It's all about identifying those areas where we feel challenged, right?
Yeah.
Where maybe we're a little uncomfortable, unsure of ourselves,
Yeah.
and then actively seeking out experiences to help us grow in those areas.
Right. It's about intentionally pushing ourselves beyond our comfort zones.
Yes.
It's embracing what's known as a growth mindset.
Yeah.
Viewing challenges as opportunities to learn and expand our abilities rather than as threats or setbacks.
Yeah.
So think about a skill or an area of knowledge that you've been wanting to develop.
Okay.
Maybe it's learning a new language, taking up a musical instrument, mastering a new software program.
Mm-hmm.
What could you do to start exploring those growing edges?
For me, it's public speaking.
Oh, interesting.
It's something that I've always wanted to get better at,
Yeah.
but I still get nervous, getting up in front of a crowd.
Mm-hmm.
I've thought about joining Toastmasters or taking a public speaking class,
Yeah.
but I haven't quite taken the plunge yet.
It's completely natural to feel nervous about things that push us outside of our comfort zones.
Yeah. Yeah.
But those feelings of discomfort are often a sign that we're on the verge of really significant growth.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as the article reminds us, our past experiences, even the ones that felt like setbacks at the time,
Right.
have actually equipped us with the strength and resilience to face these new challenges.
It's so empowering to think about that.
It is.
Yeah, it's like even our mistakes have a purpose
Yeah.
in shaping who we are and preparing us for what's ahead.
Absolutely.
It reminds me of a time when I first started podcasting, I was so fixated on like everything being perfect, like
Yeah.
the sound, the editing, the content.
Right.
I put so much pressure on myself
Mhm.
and it kind of made the whole thing less enjoyable,
It's easy to get caught up in that perfectionism trap.
Yeah.
But it's interesting
Yeah.
because sometimes those imperfections are what make things relatable and engaging.
It's so true.
Yeah.
And I actually learned that the hard way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was this one episode where I totally like flubbed a line.
Oh.
I just froze up mid-sentence.
Yeah.
And I was modified at first. Like I wanted to edit it out so bad.
Yeah.
But then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to leave it in.
Yeah.
And the feedback I got was amazing.
Yeah.
People actually connected with that moment of vulnerability.
I love that.
Yeah. And it made me realize it's okay to not be perfect.
Right.
It's okay to embrace those stumbles along the way.
I think that's such a powerful lesson.
Yeah.
And it's something that we can all apply to so many areas of our lives.
Totally.
You know, it's those imperfections, those vulnerabilities that make us human and allow us to connect with others on a deeper level.
It all comes back to those growing edges, doesn't it?
It does.
Being open to learning and growing from our experiences, even the messy ones.
Absolutely.
And, you know, speaking of learning from experience, the article also emphasizes the value of our past, even the difficult parts.
Right.
It suggests that those experiences, both the good and the bad, have equipped us to face whatever comes next.
I love that. It ties in so beautifully to the development of wisdom.
Yeah.
You know,
totally.
Taking those lessons that we've learned, often through trial and error, and applying them to new situations.
So think back to a time when you experienced what felt like a major setback.
Okay.
Looking back, how did that experience ultimately shape your approach to future challenges?
Ooh, that is a good question.
Yeah. What did you learn from it?
It really makes you realize that even the toughest experiences can be stepping stones on our journey.
Totally. And as we wrap up our deep dive into Frederick Osei-Manu's insightful article, I'm thinking about how we can all actively seek out those growing edges to accelerate our personal and professional development.
It's an ongoing process, isn't it?
It is.
Continuously pushing ourselves beyond our comfort zones, embracing change, and using our experiences, both the positive and the negative, to fuel our growth.
So as you step into this new season, whatever it may hold, remember to practice self-care, cultivate positivity, and most importantly, embrace the journey.
Beautifully said.
With all its twists and turns, thanks for joining us.